Well, let's pick up on what Donald Trump has said in a speech made in Ohio and speak to Ross Feingold, a Republican political analyst, a former Asia chairman of the group Republicans Abroad. Ross Feingold joins us from Taipei. Ross, thank you very much for your time. The president said in that speech that it's time for other people to take care of the situation. But doesn't America have a major role to play in trying to end this war that is now in its 8th year?
Well, the interesting thing here is there really is no constituency in the United States to support a sustained on-the-ground involvement by American military in this dispute. So there was a constituency to fight ISIS. That's largely been completed. But again, especially with the midterm elections upcoming, there is no constituency in the United States to say the U.S. troops should continue to be on the ground and take sides in this war.
No one can foresee the future, Ross, but there was a time when ISIS didn't exist, when al-Qaeda was the major threat. Wasn't that the reason that the United States went into Afghanistan? Who's to say what would happen in Syria in the future if American force and might wasn't there to keep order in a country? We saw what happened in Afghanistan. When the Taliban were in power and allowed to do what they wanted to do, al-Qaeda rose to terrorize the world. That's possible in Syria.
Well, that's a fair point. But to be fair to President Trump, he did run on, part of his campaign rhetoric was to reduce U.S. involvement on the ground in these kinds of situations, and also to ask regional countries, whether in the Middle East or in Europe, which obviously is geographically closer to the fighting in Syria, to do their part. I don't think we should expect the U.S. to withdraw its air or increasingly drone capability from the region. And I think we would continue to see a willingness by the United States to deploy the air assets. But the likelihood of U.S. troops numbering in the thousands remaining in the Syrian theater, again, it's increasingly unlikely given the lack of support for that in the United States.
It's not particularly new, is it? An American president wanting to draw down on the military presence around the world. Barack Obama was doing it as well. He was reluctant to get involved. Is it the beginning of the end of the United States being the policeman of the world? Some will see that as positive if it's true, others not, of course.
Well, yeah, you're correct. Every president said that. George W. Bush said that before the realities of September 11th forced the United States to engage militarily in a number of places around the world, not just in the Middle East, but in Asia as well. So there is no end to the U.S. presence. Again, in the Middle East, we have large U.S. military bases in several countries, whether formally or informally. That's not going to go away. We have U.S. military presence at NATO bases throughout Europe. That's not going to go away either. And in fact, we do have a separate discussion ongoing about the on-the-ground military presence in parts of Africa. And that doesn't seem to be disappearing anytime soon either. So we shouldn't expect the U.S. to completely withdraw or an end to the willingness to engage terrorists where they exist. But Syria, given the unique circumstances of this particular battle, there seems to be an appetite in the United States for withdrawal rather than sustained on-the-ground engagement.
Ross Feingold, we really appreciate your time here on TRT World. Thank you very much.